comments.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I think there's a misunderstanding on safe harbor. Could I ask the city attorney to explain what the safe harbor period was? If it was against the law to go past it, that's one thing people are saying. And if there was a penalty for just going past that, or a fine, a state fine, because some people think that at the end of the safe harbor, we by law had to stop whatever process was in the process.
The safe harbor has nothing to do with the legal fees that have been incurred. The safe harbor rules are that if the council had adopted a resolution within 45 days agreeing to go to districts, and then you had another short time period to have a series of 4 public hearings, that it all gets compressed within a very short time period. In contrast, what the city has chosen to do is have a more deliberate process to evaluate the districts initially, and then specifically, and Mr. Tully Clifford is the one who's lead on this, to proceed with the districts. You had a council meeting, I believe it was on January 23rd, where you have set forth a series of hearings, and rather than to compress them in a very short period of time, they are not as compressed. There's going to be more opportunity for public input. I believe the first hearing is on February 27th. Is that correct, Mr. Clifford? And then there's a series of hearings that occur after that, and I believe the final hearing is scheduled in June after the districts have been formed to adopt the ordinance. There is no fine associated with the safe harbor provision. There would be, if you had met that safe harbor provision, there would have been a cap on attorney's fees that could have been recovered by a party challenging the city on the CVRA of $30,000. So those are the answers to your questions.
All right. You want to add anything?
Well, yeah, to me, I think it's a...
Your phone? Yeah.
There we go. A couple of questions of the city attorney. Under the California Voting Rights Act, is there any requirement whatsoever in the CVRA that cities come within that safe harbor provision?
No.
Is there any fine or penalty under the CVRA relative to that safe harbor?
No.
Yeah, to suggest otherwise is a real mischaracterization and a real misstatement of what the city has been encountering relative to this process. You know, I would say that, in my view, the council, the decision of whether to change from at-large to district elections is probably the most important, if not the most important decision that I'll ever make up here. It goes to the fundamental heart of voting rights of everybody. And on an issue as fundamentally as important as voting rights, which affects everyone, the city council did not immediately cave in to the demands, as some, I think, in our community would want to do. Instead, the council thoughtfully reviewed and analyzed the issues before the council made a decision, and I think the council did its job appropriately. So I want to make sure that there's no mischaracterization relative to fines and penalties and safe harbors, because those terms are getting bandied about and they're not accurate.